All right, in this video, what I want to do is just do a quick demonstration of my default wrap settings using a portable CMM 3D scanner. So I'll go ahead, I've already connected to it, but if you have not connected to your scanner, you have to install the plugin, come over to digitizers, and then change it to whatever probing and scanning plugin that you want. And then once you have that, you can hit connect or you can skip straight to scan. Now in here, kind of my default workflow is to go to order data only. I turn on overlap outliers and reduce noise. And then this is the default scan settings. These are the default scan settings. But if you ever need to hit reset, you'll see that what isn't default is the overlap, reduce noise, those things. And then I toggle those on. So I'll do a quick scan. Oh yeah, it toggles over to raw, so I have to turn ordered back again. And then let's go ahead and scan. All right, so with these settings, you'll see that that is, for me, this works pretty well. All right, that's enough for the moment. Now, if you go ahead, zoom in here, you get a little bit of streaking going on, but a lot of that stuff gets removed during the merge. Some of this stuff I'll remove manually. So if you hold Shift and Control and click on the object, it will highlight just that one. Actually, let me go ahead and save because none of this has been written to the disk yet. So before I actually do any of that, I like to run a global registration just to make sure to tighten this up. This part could have moved a little bit as I was scanning it. I don't have the best scan set up over here. So you'll see sometimes you get those little streaky triangles. Ordered data sets. So I come in here and I Shift Control and then I hit F1. And then you can see here, if I want to, I can remove those. And then click on the group and everything comes back. And I don't have to unhide these. I don't have to hide and keep coming back and forth, back and forth. I can just leave it and it will only let me edit whatever I've selected at the moment. And then you'll see here that some of those streaky triangles or edges go away. So if I go ahead and hit merge and I'm just going to set it for medium, auto, global registration, max triangles. For this, I'll do 1 million. And then there are my settings for that. And then hit OK. Now, before I finish up here, I will dive in and show the actual device's laser settings before we finish up. But you'll see the noise reduction does a good job of removing a lot of the streaky stuff. If I see something that's grossly connected, then I'll manually remove it. but otherwise, it does a pretty good job. The merge does. It's all right. Probably shouldn't have decimated quite as much. All right, let's go back in, scan, and up here we'll come over to the scanner options. Now, depending on the scanner, I tweak these a little bit. I leave everything pretty much uh, stock, except for depending on which blue laser or green. So the green laser, the prism, I will actually leave it on automatic normal most of the time. And then for the blue, I actually do switch over to HDR and use it. So let's actually just use some of those settings. So HDR, I don't change the rate or density with that one because it alternates back and forth between multiple two different exposure settings on the camera side. So it's automatically inherently kind of decimating. It only collects half the data. So now if I go over to HDR, let's see what this does. All right. And then from there, just do a merge. In this instance, it does look like the quality is about the same. Now, those threads, I'm looking at them on the physical part. There is a lot of stuff on those threads, so it's hard to kind of tell what's there and what's really not there in the scan because there's a lot of stuff in there. I don't know what it is, whether it's the material that was in the bottle. All right, so those are my settings for that. And again, there's some stuff in those. I could decimate it with a higher, a higher triangle count. So those are what I use for my basic settings. Now, for longer range data for a larger object, I basically will scale this up. So you'll see that we're at 10 thousandths with an eighth of an inch, that ratio. So this is kind of a ratio that I like to use, that same ratio that's in here for these settings. Now the filter angle and the max view deviation, I don't need to worry about those. I leave those alone. But what I will do is if I need to scan a larger object, and I'll go up to, from 10 thousandths at eighth of an inch, I can go to 60 thousandths at 0.75, right? So if I come in here and I do 0.06 at 0.75, and then now I'm going to go ahead and scan my chair, something a little larger just to kind of show what happens. But I try to keep this, it's almost like the golden ratio for scan data. Now, you could tweak that ratio a little bit, but don't go too far off of that eighth of an inch to 10 thousandths. Like you could drop it down to 0.1 or 0.9, or 90 thou, maybe somewhere in there. It also works good. You see the texture? Opening up the ordered data helps with the texture, make it connect it together. All right, so there's my longer range data. Now that's an extreme. I went to 60 thousandths, right? Um, Now if I go ahead and just save this, watch how fast it will merge because it's such low res data, but it's a large object. I don't need tons of data on this. So go ahead and hit merge and see how long that takes. So you can play with the ratio a little bit, but I don't go too far off of what it is, as you can see here. So if for some reason you're getting different results than I'm getting, then the next step is to kind of do something in person where I can take a look at the settings and make sure that it's behaving properly.